Hello and welcome to the afternoon edition of MBC News. I am Mobile Kaisa. Coming up. Malawi and Zambia sign a strategic security pact aimed at enhancing security. The Department of Human Resource Management rectifies all technical challenges which affected the commencement of the personnel audit. In our special report, MBC uncovers informal market fueling the unavailability of sugar on local markets. And now the news in detail. Malawi and Zambia have signed a strategic security agreement aimed at enhancing collaboration on international and external security, including regional stability across the two countries. Malawi's Minister of Defense, Chimwemwe, said the two countries have put in place new measures to monitor the implementation of the outstanding and new resolutions to address state and public security challenges. Yamekani Sumtoy has filed this report, read by Catherine Banda.
Malawi and Zambia have renewed their commitment to implementing resolutions aimed at dealing with cross-border security concerns facing the two nations. Malawi's Minister of Defense, Chimwemwe, and his Zambian counterpart, Ambrose Lufuma, signed the agreement in Salima at the conclusion of a ministerial meeting during the 20th session of the Malawi-Zambia Joint Permanent Commission on Defense and Security. Chibungu stated that the two nations face similar transnational threats such as human and drug trafficking, illegal migration, poaching, smuggling, cross-border crimes, and cyber-related offenses. He said the two countries have put in place new measures to monitor and enforce the implementation of the action plans for the two countries' betterment.
More importantly, we have discussed on joint trainings. We want our security teams to be upgraded with the current situations, issues of digitalization, issues of cross borders, because we all know that these human trafficking, drug abuse are happening between countries. So these are the issues that we discussed in full, and we have actually have action plans and strategies to have them, stopped by both security institutions in Malawi and Zambia.
The Zambian Minister of Defense, Ambrose Lufuma, said the successful implementation of the resolutions would depend on the continuous coordination, diligent follow-up, and firm commitment from their defense and security institutions and agencies to ensure that agreed actions are implemented within the said frameworks.
Without doing the implementation part, you are seriously just wasting time and resources. So it's important that when you meet, action points are taken seriously and schedules are made, timelines are made, so that we remind each other that the outcomes of the meeting must be implemented in order to move forward. So it does not necessarily mean that we have not been implementing, but it was a reminder that it is absolutely necessary that we do what we have agreed on time.
The sessions of the Malawi-Zambia Joint Permanent Commission on Defense and Security are staged annually on rotational basis, with next year's edition to be held in Zambia. Among others, the sessions bring together heads and security chiefs from the two countries.
Ministry of Homeland Security says it will push for enactment of new Refugees Act that will respond to emerging issues and international standards. Minister responsible Peter Mukito said this in Lilongwe during the opening of the validation workshop on the review of Refugees Act of 1989. Austin Fukula reports.
Chiefs, the academia, civil society organizations, magistrates and government officials are part of the process that is adding voices to recommendations that a special law commission has made. The process of reviewing the law began in 2024. Minister of Homeland Security Peter Mukito says the law does not address emerging issues in as far as management of refugees is concerned. He says Malawi is failing to benefit from the funds from the World Bank because the law is not meeting international standards.
the World Bank, they said there's a funding available that will assist Malawi as a hosting country, as well as again the refugees. But to do that, we need to have a proper framework for that. And this meeting is coming at a very, very opportune time. And we believe that after this process, we will hasten to make sure that this Refugee Act has passed through the due processes of the law, that is through Parliament. And that will enable us to access these funds from the World Bank.
Law Commission mandated a special law commission to review the 1989 Refugees Law. Chairperson for the Special Commission, Justice Professor Edson Kabindu, says there are gaps in the current law. He says one example is that the current law is not clear on the management of asylum seekers and refugees, and it does not respect their human rights. He adds that the existing law does not provide asylum seekers space to seek judicial review if they are not treated fairly, among other gaps.
When you read the text of the Refugees Act, one of the things you will notice is that it does not provide for rights for refugees. It doesn't, right? The very essence of having a refugee protection framework is these are people that are fleeing from, a situation where their rights are being violated, right? And when you receive them, General international refugee law requires that we have to provide for a set of rights.
United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, UNHCR, estimates that Malawi is a home to over 50,000 refugees and asylum seekers. The increase in the number of such people and the old legislation are among the challenges affecting management of refugees in the country. Austin Fukula, NBC News, Lilongwe.
The construction of Makanjira Health Facility in Mangochi has reached completion stage, marking a significant milestone in improving health service delivery among expectant mothers and newborns in the district. Contractor of the project, Deck Construction Company, says the construction works have reached 100% completion rate and the facility will be handed over to government next year. Owen Mafula reports.
The wait is almost over for the people of traditional authorities Makanjira and Lulanga in Mangochi district to have access to improved healthcare services for mothers and newborns. This follows completion of the construction of a comprehensive emergency obstetrics and neonatal facility at Makanjira Health Center, a facility that will help transform healthcare services for mothers and newborns in the area, offer life-saving care, and hope to families who have faced significant challenges in accessing such services. According to Managing Director for Deck Construction Company, Dan Chale, the construction works have hit about 100% and awaits electricity connection, provision of essential medical equipment and furniture for the center to fully serve the community.
The uniqueness is coming in the sense that the projects that we undertake before with this one has been designed in a modern way comparing to other hospitals. As we have seen, it has got 2 theaters inside, major and minor. In other hospitals, you just find only one. And also, it's more complicated comparing to other hospitals that we constructed before.
He was speaking when Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, Ben Piri, led a team of senior officials from the Ministry of Health and the Embassy of Iceland in inspecting development projects being implemented in partnership with the Embassy of Iceland in Mangochi district. Speaking at the site, Director of Curative and Rehabilitative Health Services in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Frank Sinyiza, said the ministry is working closely with the Department of Human Resource to ensure that appropriate cadres are deployed to the health center to serve the communities.
Anjira only as a health center that got about 50,000 people, but as a zone that got close to 200,000 people. So it's a big population. So in terms of assurance, because now there have been infrastructure adjustment, so as Minister of Health, we are going to work with our colleagues from Department of Human Resource as well as LASCOM so that the appropriate cadres are deployed here.
In his remarks, Minister of Local Government Ben Piri said he is impressed with the workmanship and assured communities in Makanjira that once all deliverables are met, the health centre will be in operation by 31st March next year.
There is a roadmap to the opening, and we are looking at the 31st of March. I have not seen this far any bottleneck that would really pose a challenge to opening by the 31st. So we are so sure. We have given ourselves deliverables and timelines to make sure that we meet that particular deadline of the 31st. So I'm sure by 31st we should be okay, and this hospital would have been opened.
From Makanjira, the minister also took time to inspect the construction of Mangochi District Council Chamber and Finance Block, which is equally in completion stage, awaiting commissioning. Owen Mavula, MBC, Mangochi.
The Department of Human Resource Management says it has rectified all the technical challenges which affected the commencement of the personnel audit. Spokesperson for the department, Ken Ntonga, said this in Lilongwe when giving an update of the pilot phase of the audit, which is expected to end today. Beatrice Mwape reports.
When MBC visited some places where personnel audit is taking place, it found work in progress. Although patronage was good, people expressed concern over delays in the processes. Spokesperson of the Department of Human Resource Management and Development, Ken Ntonga, has acknowledged that the team faced some challenges ranging from internet, power and the system when the audit started. Ntonga has since assured the public that the issues have been resolved and going forward, the processes will be handled with speed.
There are documents which just need to be provided. So we throw the ball back to him or her to make available the documentations. Of course, there are some which may not be provided instantly. So for those ones, we give time. We say, okay, we are giving you 2 days. If the worst comes to the worst, we say, now we will not deal with you. We will give you time.
Ntonga has, however, expressed worry over failure of some civil servants to follow proper procedures in documentation. He has since urged those yet to be audited to ensure they bring all the required documents in order to receive proper assistance.
We have learned adequate lessons from the program, I mean from the pilot that we have had or we are having currently in Lilongwe. We have learned a lot, and they should be assured that the challenges that we have experienced in Lilongwe, particularly in the first 2-3 days, will not be there at all when we roll out to the rest of the country, because all the challenges have been rectified and we continue rectifying them.
Government said it initiated the payroll audit to flush out ghost workers and deal with payroll fraud, among others. This follows an increase of government wage bill from 479 billion kwacha to 1.6 trillion kwacha in 4 years. The first phase of the audit, which started on 9th December, will end on 16th December. The first phase covers ministries of education, health, agriculture, local government and security agencies. Beatrice Mwape, MBC News, Lilongwe.
You are watching MBC News. A reminder of our top stories. Malawi and Zambia sign a strategic security pact aimed at enhancing security. The Department of Human Resource Management rectifies all technical challenges which affected the commencement of the personnel audit. In our special report, MBC uncovers informal market, fueling the unavailability of sugar on local markets. Welcome back. Police have warned all grain traders against smuggling maize to neighboring countries, saying the enforcement of export ban is still in effect. This is according to National Police spokesperson Lero Tembo, who made the remarks after the police intercepted a 20-ton Scania lorry exporting 400 bags of maize to Zambia through uncharted routes in Mjinji. James Kachepa with the full story.
Reports continue to rise that some grain traders in the country are smuggling maize to neighboring countries. In its November 2025 maize market report, the International Food Policy Research Institute portrayed large quantities of the commodity flowing out of the country through Nchinchi border towards Chipata. In reaction to the development, police have warned all grain traders against the vice, saying the enforcement of the export ban is still in effect. Meanwhile, the National Police spokesperson Lero says police are making progress in the fight against the malpractice.
We are actively enforcing the export ban through increased patrols along countries' borders. All non-unauthorized routes have been sealed. Meanwhile, on December 17, 2025, we arrested Mr. Wilson Kaunda, aged 44, for illegal export of restricted commodities. The suspect, who comes from Gezangomo village in Twal in Zimba district, was intercepted while attempting to transport 400 bags of white maize to Zambia. Police wish to reiterate that a ban on the export of maize is currently in force, and all traders are warned that anyone caught attempting to export this commodity will be arrested and prosecuted.
Also weighing in views is the social commentator Begasoni Maize, who is urging the general public to support the police in the exercise.
Government of Professor Asabita Mtaneda is sourcing the maize from the outside of the country, from Zambia as well as Tanzania. And it is a very sadful story. Heading is that the other traders is trying to export maize from Malawi to other countries, and each and every Malawian the watch to make sure that no maize export from the country to outside the country.
Malawi Vulnerability Assessment Committee reported that about 4 million Malawians need food support in this rain season, and the government is in the course of mobilizing resources both locally and abroad. James Kachepa, MBC News, Blantyre.
The uncertainty to do with availability of sugar on the local market continues to pose a challenge. In our special report, MBC's Erlin Jimoyo tells the story of how traders in the informal sector are fueling the shortage.
For 2 years now, the country has seen an unprecedented shortage of sugar on the formal market. This shortage has led to finger-pointing, which has only enraged the public with no clear solution in sight. The key question remains, what could be the root cause of the recurring shortage? Our investigation has led us to the streets of townships and informal markets. For the first time in decades in Malawi, one can easily find stacks of sugar packets being sold on the street pavements and roadsides, typical of the unlawful street vending. Aside from this, there are also other traders and distributors that are hoarding the commodity in anticipation of possible price hikes and allegedly externalization intent. A case in point is the recent uncovering of 3,000 bales stocked in a warehouse in Lero, which were exceeding the recommended volume of a district or trading center. While consumers continue walking in and out of retail stores without sugar or with only 2 packets at a maximum, vendors are shunning official wholesalers and bulk buying in retail stores at the expense of individual customers, hence exacerbating the shortage. Why then is the Competition and Fair Trading Commission CFTC not taking such traders to task? The Commission's spokesperson Innocent Helema explains.
The legal framework that we have at the moment is designed to deal with the formal sector. The due process requires us that we write them. The alleged, the respondents, we write them, they respond to us, and for that to happen, the alleged traders, the respondents, would have to sort of be formal, and this creates a problem for the informal sector. For us, it creates a challenge for us when dealing with the informal sector, specifically vendors, as we put it, street vendors, as we put it.
As Helema states, sadly, the CFTC's mandate on fair trading does not allow them to confront and penalize individual traders such as street vendors, arguing this is now where the City Council comes in. In light of this, Blantyre City Mayor Isaac Jomo Osman says they have put in place measures to curb street vending in general. He, however, did not come out clearly as to whether the exercise could include those vending sugar.
It's very hard for us as Blantyre City Council to be involved in these issues because people are selling sugar. To sell sugar is not illegal. So for us, we only deal with people who are selling things illegal.
As it stands, main producer Ilovo has about 70,000 metric tons as they enter the off-season, pending resumption of production in April next year. And the Ministry of Trade earlier this week held talks with Ilovo management to map the way forward on the nickling challenge. But as Ministry spokesperson Patrick Botha explains, Minister responsible George Partridge believes the situation needs a multi-sectoral approach.
The Ministry will continue working together with the relevant authorities like the Ministry of Local Government, issue of domestic market and councils in rural growth centers actually run by our colleagues for the Ministry of Local Government. And then we have issue of enforcement on the law enforcing side. We have the Ministry of Homeland Security that we need to collaborate with. And then there's also the MRA.
We managed to track one of the traders that bulk bought sugar at Chipigu to the township of Zingwangwa. When approached, he chose to speak on anonymity as to why he would pay off vendors to buy the commodity for him to be selling in his mini shop. He states that there are some big traders that are overtly ordering the commodity from distributors, a development which he says is limiting their access. He further alleges that some groups are ordering the sugar in the same fashion and then resell it at exorbitant prices. The Trade Minister has since warned that distributors involved in such unscrupulous conduct will be stripped of their licenses, as Botha explains.
In terms of holding and others, the Ministry through the Business Licensing Act will continue to monitor the market surveillance, and where it has been proven that the traders are not complying, their licenses will be revoked.
In the meantime, Malawians have their eyes on authorities entrusted with ensuring fair trade, the suppliers as well as those in law enforcement, to help put a stop to this profiteering that is placing the public at a disadvantage. Elin Chimoyo, NBC News, Blantyre.
And now moving on to sports, the TNM Super League title race could be denied this weekend when all three title contenders, Mighty Wanderers, FCB Nyasa Big Bullets and Silver Strikers, are in action. Our sports reporter Norbert Jemson joins us live this afternoon for more details. Hello, Norbert.
Hi, Abale.
Can you take us through the situations that could result in identifying the Super League champions?
There's only one situation in which we could see the champions this weekend. It has to take Bullets and Silver Strikers dropping points and then Mighty Wanderers winning their match against Moyare, because as it stands, Wanderers are on 65 points. So the highest they can go if they win their both matches is 71 points. Bullets have 62 points. And the highest they can go is 68 points. So what it will take is, if Bullets do not beat Mighty Tigers and if Silver Strikers do not beat Mafco on Saturday, and then Mighty Wanderers win against Moyare Barracks, then we could as well conclude that Wanderers are the champions. So that's the only situation in which we can have the champions decided this weekend. But if the Wanderers drop points, Silver and Bullets win, then the race continues until the last day of the season, which is next weekend.
All right, now, so what are the chances that these three teams could win their respective matches?
Talking of Mighty Wanderers and Moyare Barracks, Wanderers are in good form at the moment. This is a team that has only lost once, and they lost that match away from home. But they are facing a Moyare side which is also high on confidence after winning their two previous matches against Bullets and Ekaya. So it's going to be a tricky fixture, but Wanderers are favourites to win the match because they are playing at home. You would also think about Moyare coming to the Kamozo Stadium last year and they beat Wanderers by 2-1, but this time around Wanderers are favourites in this match. Bullets and Mighty Tigers, Bullets are also favourites, and so too Silver Strikers against Mafco. So could be in a situation where all the three big teams win their matches on Saturday to take the title race to the wire.
All right, the Africa Cup of Nations are set to begin this weekend. What are the expectations?
High expectations, considering the teams that have qualified this time around. It's 24 teams that are going to compete in Morocco, and then we have some of the stars that are doing so well in their respective clubs in Europe. The likes of Victor Osimhen, you have the likes of Ademola Lookman starring for Nigeria. Then you have Omar Mamouche from Manchester City, Mo Salah from Liverpool. Morocco have the likes of Ashraf Hakimi as well as Brahim Diaz. All of them coming to the party in Morocco, which starts on Sunday. So huge expectations in terms of the quality of football that is going to be on display.
All right, Norbert. Thank you very much for joining us live.
Thank you for having me.
Well, that item concludes this edition of MBC News this afternoon. But before we leave, here's a recap of our top stories. Malawi and Zambia sign a strategic security pact aimed at enhancing security. The Department of Human Resource Management rectifies all technical challenges which affected the commencement of the personnel audit. In our special report, MBC uncovers informal market, fueling the unavailability of sugar on local markets. Keep up to date with our news coverage on our digital pages by scanning the QR code at the top right corner of your TV screen. You are with me, Obile Kaisa. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.